Okay, I'm going to ask my mom and dad a question that's a little more controversial. I want to ask them about their habits when they were teenagers, whether they smoked and drank, and how they changed their lifestyle if they did, and why they changed their lifestyle if they did.
Okay.
Oh,
Fair enough.
we're going to put some drama in this one. Okay.
Well, you want me to
Just
tell
no,
things
just-
about you now too, or?
Sure.
James,
I just want,
you like the first one.
All right.
I just want our kids, especially right now, our kids have so many temptations with drugs and alcohol, and it has changed so dramatically from where you guys were. I don't know where your temptations were, your struggles were, but I think it's so different than it was at your time today.
Our greatest temptation was coming home when we were told to.
See, and what a difference it is today.
When we would go off, we had to beg and plead because we always had chores to be done. And when Mother would finally permit us to go, if we weren't home by the time she said, then we were in deep doo-doo.
James, talk nice.
We were in deep trouble.
What were your struggles, Mom, as a teenager? It doesn't necessarily have to be like word of wisdom things or whatever. It's just, what did you struggle with, during that time of your life when you were a teenager?
Popularity was my greatest struggle. There were these kids that were all popular, and I felt less adequate. But
She was the most beautiful girl in school, and she still felt like that.
but
You all want to see
I
what
was
your grandma...
never, ever tempted by alcohol.
Good.
Because when I was about, these little girls' age, my mother took us to town one day, and she parked over on a side street that had, they had weeds in the lot that we were parked in front of. And this old man came walking down the street.
Staggering.
Yeah, well, staggering. His pants were wet. He had wet on himself. He was hanging onto a bottle, and he was weaving, stuff like that. And I just thought how awfully ugly that was. And so I've never, ever been tempted to drink.
What about smoking? Wasn't smoking a big thing when you guys were young? I mean, in all the movie stars had a cigarette. I mean, it was like the big thing then.
I just thought it was ugly, and they smell.
Yeah.
People that smoke smell. But the only time I ever remember wishing I could smoke was when I was at a dance. And all of these other girls were sitting around the table and waiting to be asked to dance. But they were smoking. They had something to do with their hands, and they were just had something to do with their hands, so that they didn't seem all by themselves.
Uh-huh.
And that was the only time I ever had a desire to smoke.
Yeah.
Your grandmother was as angelic as teenagers were at that time. Would you, let me see a show of hands, for those who would like to see what your grandma looked up like when she was 18 about to graduate. Go into my computer, one of you.
Okay.
On
Right.
the computer.
Right over the right-hand side, you see a picture of her seated on the grass. I think I've got some Scotch tape over it, so be careful and don't tear it. Your grandmother had a delightful, loving personality, most beautiful smile in class, in our senior class. And that's her picture. Just take a look at that and see if you think what I'm saying is not true.
So was the way kids most got in trouble or whatever was the drinking?
Right?
drinking.
Yeah, they would.
They didn't
But was
have
it,
drugs on the street.
yeah, but was it accepted at that time for, no, it was with the kids drinking like it is today. I mean, it's a big, everybody
Parents
drinks it.
accept it today.
Oh, yes.
A lot of parents just accept it.
Mm-hmm.
They have drinking parties in their house.
Yeah, they do. The parents bring it so the kids can party there and be safe.
You know who's winning the war right now in this world between Heavenly Father and the devil? For the souls of children, boys and girls? Who do you think's winning the war?
Devil.
Satan is winning.
It sure's taking a big toll on our kids today.
See how beautiful your grandmother was?
Yeah,
You agree?
She still is beautiful.
That's why I didn't become a pilot.
She was so pretty. When I was,
Things have just changed so much.
Jake, come show
From
me.
time to now.
Show me, Jake.
Oh, there once. How much closer? I don't want you to be a cameraman or a woman.
In our senior class group, they composed an ideal senior girl and an ideal senior boy by taking different parts of a person, and one of them would be ears, the one that had the prettiest ears, and nose, the prettiest mouth. Your grandmother, her selection was on this ideal girl, was her teeth. She had a beautiful smile, and I have paid dearly for that smile all these years.
he means in bills. His is
And
bills.
mine was, you'd never guess what mine was on this boy, the ideal boy. You know what it was? What would you say it was? What part of me? Your nose hairs. Yeah.
I thought it was ears.
That's probably
Eyes?
gonna be your hair.
That's exactly right.
He had beautiful hair.
I had beautiful hair then, they said. So I was the hair and she was the smile and teeth. My, how things have changed.
She still got a good smile. You just don't have enough hair.
She hung on to hers.
You are your daughter's, you're my daughter's daughter.
Little bit of honoring in there, huh?
They still do those little charts at school.
What, little short honey?
The little things where they'd be like, and they have the prettiest eye.
Recommended.
Not recommended at all. If I were doing it again, I would wait until I was at least 25. And
Because you're too young.
you're just too young. We have never known anything else but work and raise kids. Work and raise kids. That's been, we grew up with our kids. We grew up with your mother both, Pamela. We grew up as they were growing up. And that was nice because we like to do the things they like to do and so forth. Yes?
What happened when you found out that you were engaged with your girl?
Well, his name was Bogle, Bobby Bogle. You remember him, hon? He was a quarterback and a good-looking kid.
He had beautiful hair too. It was just perfectly waved all the way back.
She remembers that.
Yeah.
That must have been
Your
impressive.
mother was very impressed with things like that. Anyway, my father worked for a music store, a music group there in Plainview. And one Saturday morning, I was down there to get something from Dad. And Bob came in. And before he left, he came over and he said, "John, tell me something. How on earth did you get Wanda to go out with you anywhere?" I said, "Well, she knows good stuff when she sees it." And he just grunted and turned around and left. I assumed he didn't agree.
I never knew that.
I think you wanted an answer.
One of those things you don't tell your girlfriend when you're in competition, huh?
So Gentry, what's your question?
I don't know. I don't think I
We have a packet of love letters.
No, you can't talk about those.
We have a packet of love letters that easily are that thick. And we're leaving those to our daughters only to read and use with their grandchildren probably by then.
I
And
haven't
counseling.
agreed to this. I have not agreed to that in any shape, form.
They are available. I'm just telling you.
For how long?
You better hide them before she does.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to ask my question. Does that look good?
Please.
There you go.
Is that good?
Yeah,
Show your knees.
Okay.
that looks good.
Okay, here's my question. Grandpa and Grandma, how would you like your posterity to remember you? What traits do you want us to remember about you? When we have your picture on our walls and we talk to our grandchildren about you guys, what do you want us to say?
That's a good question.
That's the most thoughtful question I've been asked yet. Mom, you want to start?
Well, I just want them to know that we love them very much and we are very concerned about them and how they live their lives and what they do with their lives and that they do things that are good and help other people. I just want them to be good people. And I want them to know that they're very much loved. Only the cute ones though.
Which is all of them.
That encompasses us all, doesn't it?
This is all of them, all of these cute kids.
And what do you want us to, like, what word would you use to describe yourself? What does that make sense?
I am always somewhat shy, and it takes me a long time to think things out to make sure that I know what I'm saying. It's just my personality, I guess. I just am a little slow at pulling out a good answer. You're a cutie dog.
Yeah.
Question, you're a cutie dog.
Okay, just ensure we have a dog in some pictures.
Granddad?
What I would want my grandchildren to remember. Well, quite a number of years ago, we were down in Santa Fe for a weekend, and Sunday night, Katie and Steve had a practice that every night, regardless of what day of the week it was, every night, the last thing they would do before the kids went to bed, we would have reading the scriptures. They had 17 books of Mormon, so we always had enough. They passed the books of Mormon around, and each one there would read 3 or 4 verses. When we got through and said the prayers, I said to all the kids while we had them there sort of gathered together, grandkids, I want you to tell me something. What are you going to remember about Granddad more than anything else?
Wash your hands.
That was sounded like the Tabernacle Choir, a perfect blend of voices. Wash your hands. And now the medical profession has proved how wise that was.
Psychological perfection might.
I would like the grandkids to remember that we tried to raise their mothers and dad so that they would be good people, good parents and good citizens. We never had a lot of money when they were growing up because we had so many kids. And so the special things that came along, like bicycles and so forth, were as plentiful as they might have been otherwise, but we had a close family. And they learned how to help their mother, not always willingly, But they learned how to help their mother.
We
And they
had,
knew that when Sunday came, we were going to church.
and we knew when dishwashing time came, Pamela was going to the bathroom.
Pamela's favorite hour was she
Oh.
would go to the bathroom. She wouldn't be available.
Oh, and that's why she catches everyone else while doing it.
Yeah, she knows that
She'll
little
stand
trick.
upstairs and yell,
Huh,
"Dishes,"
Jessie?
and everybody like disappeared.
She knows where to find you because that's where.
I know all the tricks.
Oh, you only know the bathroom line.
Well,
She got that from a long time ago. My mother had a similar problem. When her mother would call her to do the dishes, she would take all the pots and pans and hide them outside under the water tank. Big
You're a
deal
dish
thing.
hider.
See, it's genetic. It's not your fault, honey. It's a genetic
You
thing.
see, Ray? It's okay.
It's so
now.
much better.
Your little brothers and sisters don't know about that.
But when grandmother would finally run out of pots and pans, she'd call Ruby, Ruby, come here. And she'd say, Ruby, go outside and get all of the pots and pans out from under the water tower and bring them in and wash them now.
my mother,
You can't fool parents all the time.
my mother made my brother and I keep our room straight. My mother had a way. She was quite definite about some things. She had us keeping our rooms straight and clean. And we washed the dishes. We took turns washing the dishes and drying the dishes and putting them away. And she always convinced us that she cooked a good meal so that we would have plenty of dishes and pots and pans to clean, to put up. And when I would say something about that, well, that's not fair, she'd say, well, you want me to quit cooking? Of course, knowing how I like to eat, I couldn't say yes. So I say, no, that's not a fair question. But my brother, Frank, your Uncle Frank, he was always your great-grandmother's favorite. She pampered and petted him more than she did me. And he was, your Uncle Frank was sort of like Adam in Karen's family. He was very close to his mother.
Very kind-hearted.
Very kind-hearted, very sensitive, and he never fussed about washing the dishes. And I was all the time trying to trick him into taking my part. I was sometimes an ornery young man, I guess.
I think the first child has to be kind of strong like that.
He is just a cute little dog.
Do you have a question, Jim? Did you think of one?
There's too many questions to
Oh yeah.
pick a good one. It's
No, I
like,
don't even have
okay.
one.
What one word would you like to call yourself like she did?
One word?
Your grandma said shy.
Your grandmother was kind and loving.
Kind.
That's 2, 3.
You know that shy doesn't fit grandma.
Yeah. I would agree with that statement.
One word.
And I whisper one in your ear.
No,
We can all put whisper. I sure would like to heard that word.
That wasn't his favorite word.
I think one word would probably be faithful.
okay.
I was faithful in church. I was faithful to her. Your grandmother is the only girl, with the exception of one other, that I ever kissed.
Who was the other one? Ooh.
His mom.
His mom.